In regards to process, Libeskind uses drawing and abstraction to bring possible conceptual elements into focus, moves to hand-building small physical models to test these ideas in 3 dimensions, then works with a team of people to translate it into documents and then reality. 3 main drawing series drive the conceptual development behind what later becomes built work. Micromegas, born out of a hyper-subliminal exploration of architectural representation, responds to lack of site, program, client, and project. Chamberworks, which abandons the 3rd dimension completely in favor of synthesizing the field of music with architecture. And most recently, Sonnets in Babylon, where they allow line and tone to become figural. Within the name of the series are several clues as to the author's approach to these 28 drawings. A chamber work in music refers to a piece written for a small number of players. This also foreshadows the use of musical notation in much the same way the convention of architectural notation was applied in Micromegas. In this context, meditation seems to refer to Libeskind giving themselves some broad thematic boundaries for these explorations. And lastly, Heraclitus, an ancient Greek philosopher. In order to fully understand this philosopher's work, one must be well read enough to catch the near-constant duality of meaning, and it's important to understand that their work relied heavily on inductive rather than deductive reasoning. Here's one from the horizontal typology for closer analysis. By sketching over or highlighting specific element types using color, the second layer of meaning emerges. But for those not so familiar with music, let's look at how music is notated first. Here's a score for a piece of chamber music, specifically a string quartet. Since there are 2 violins, a viola, and a cello all playing together at the same time, the start of their lines are grouped together with what is called a bracket. Zooming in on the first few seconds of this piece, we can take a closer look at some of the elements in this analysis. Instructions from a composer are read from left to right or along the x-axis, and this linear motion also corresponds with the progression of time. Time is conceptualized as in groups of beats, a regular number of which comprise a measure. These units are marked visually by a bar line, highlighted here in blue. Each player's instructions are centered on a series of 5 lines called the staff. Pitch is notated on its y-axis, the highness or lowness of a mark or a note corresponding to the highness or lowness of sound. Here you can follow the 4 strings of dots that comprise the player's instructions. Often these notes are strung together and shaped with slurs and expressive markings, much like the words of a sentence are grouped and shaped by commas and periods. The constraints that originally led to this process are less pervasive today, and although the computer has been utilized to increase the precision and placement, calculation of line, shadow, and more through algorithm, it is still the case that architectural representation is still based on the constraints of 2-dimensional media. But what if it wasn't?